This story begins in the 10 News Art Department. Here we pulled that infamous Palm Beach County presidential ballot off of the internet. It's the very same ballot used in Tuesday's election. We brought all those ballots here to George W. Perkins Elementary School.
Here's what we're going to do today. In 5th grade,
the 5th graders in Adrienne Bertrand's class are about to vote for the very first time.
Does everybody know who Al Gore is? Raise your hand.
Our instructions to these 10-year-olds were very clear.
We want you to check the box or fill in the circle right next to Al Gore's name and Al Gore only, okay?
We then passed out these Palm Beach County ballots, letting the kids see them for the very first time.
And we're only voting for Al
Once
Gore.
again, the instructions were given and made clear.
What we want you to do is just fill in the circle next to Al Gore's name on this ballot. If you make a mistake, put up your hand, you can ask for another one. But once the ballot goes in the ballot box, it's a done deal. You can't re-vote. But you can certainly ask for another one if you make a mistake, okay? Everybody clear on that?
And so the vote begins.
Fold your paper.
One by one, these American citizens and future voters drop their ballots in the ballot box. Now it's time to tally them all up.
Another one for Al Gore. Another vote, Al Gore. Another vote, Al Gore.
So how tough was this voting thing anyway?
You just had to follow the arrow. It just said Al Gore, and then there was a arrow, and then you just fill in that hole.
Did you have trouble finding Al Gore's name?
No, it was pretty simple.
We had to fill in the circle next to Al Gore's name.
Was that tough?
No.
Did you have trouble finding Al Gore's name on the ballot?
No.
In the end, all 27 10-year-olds were able to correctly and without mistakes vote for Vice President Al Gore. Perhaps there is hope for our democracy. In Pinellas County, I'm Bill McGinty, 10 News.
And as the investigation continues, so do the sad farewells. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty joins us live now from the Cape. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Marty and Mario. Sympathy has been pouring in from around the world here to the Visitor Center at the Kennedy Space Center, and we'd like our viewers to be able to experience some of that up close and personal. So the next report you're about to see won't have any voice narration to it, and it won't have any interviews. It'll just have moments. It's been said, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Here at the Astronaut Memorial at the Kennedy Space Center this week, that couldn't be more true. Marty?
Visitors, whether invited or uninvited, have always been welcome at Gracie Merrill's house over the years.
And all of a sudden we heard a terrible thud.
It was their latest uninvited guest.
And the house vibrated.
911, what is your emergency?
It was last Saturday morning at 2 a.m. when a car busted through the front of Gracie's house.
And she asked,
Is someone hurt, ma'am?
if there's someone in that car, they're terribly hurt.
Neighbors couldn't believe what they heard and saw.
We heard the noise and we came out.
It's just disgusting.
Like one of his blinkers was flashing. We saw it flashing up against the house.
I don't even want to know who they are.
It looked like it was a fire.
And this isn't the first time it's happened. It's not even the second or the third.
13 times this has happened. Only once it was twice the same driver.
The Merrills live at the top of where Ocean View Avenue intersects Augusta. Neighbors say the county stop sign and the reflectors are doing little good.
Well, because this is a drag strip. That's the reason why.
In 1974, after the 9th accident, the Merrills Insurance Company finally said that's enough. They told them to move the front entrance around to the side. They also suggested building this barrier in the driveway. But so far, none of it's helped.
Corvette ended up in the back.
And they came along the side of the building and ended up in the back of our house.
The 2 front tires were in the pool.
Two automobiles in this swimming pool.
Pinellas County says it will look into the problem here. The Merrills hope it will be soon.
I'm scared to death that it'll happen while we're standing here, is what I'm afraid of.
Reporting out on Indian Bluff Island, I'm Bill McGinty, 10 News.
There's a sign of hope in a West Tampa neighborhood that needs a shot in the arm and is coming from an unlikely source.
Adult business owner Joe Redner is building a new park called the Voice of Freedom.
Of course, Redner is usually associated with controversy, but not this time. This time he's helping revive an old neighborhood. Here's 10 News reporter Bill McGinty.
The warm jazz is cool company as the guys on the bench pass the hours of the day.
It's going down bad. Yeah, it's dropping down.
There's nothing here. Absolutely nothing in here.
Sadly enough, they're talking about their neighborhood.
Same scenery every day. I want to see some new stuff.
Most of their free time is spent on this bench, looking at the neighborhood, progress left behind.
Now, little by little, you know, everybody's quitting.
It's going down bad.
And only the retired people and the old people is the one that stay here.
But today, their view from the bench is going to change a little.
And if you want my opinion, anything would be an improvement to this neighborhood.
Definitely.
Whatever it is.
That whatever will be a brand new park.
The park that will eventually occupy this old vacant lot on Main Street means a lot more than just another park. It represents a new beginning, a victory of sorts for the old neighborhood.
Obviously, we're going to feel that we've been forgotten a little bit. We're hoping that, you know, people will come outside and want to come spend money in this area.
And they can thank this man, adult business owner Joe Redner.
I hope this park brings a little joy to the people who use it.
He's the man that bought the land to change the view.
That park would really help it, you know what I'm saying?
Their view may change in the coming months, but not the guys on the bench. They'll be here to enjoy it as their old neighborhood shows signs of new life. Reporting in West Tampa, I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
By the way, Joe Redner is building this park without the assistance of the city or the county.
And he told a small crowd that he'll pump money into their community and is challenging the city of Tampa to do the same. What a beautiful day to be outside.
Well, now that Thanksgiving is just about over, did you make it to grandmother's house or wherever you were going without too many problems? The Thanksgiving holiday, you know, is the busiest travel time of the year. For thousands, that meant some hectic connections, and that's especially true for one Bay Area family. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty introduces you to them.
We met the Swain family from Sarasota in long-term parking.
It's getting kind of heavy.
Just as 5-year-old Kevin decided it was time to unpack.
I know, we're going to miss the plane.
Chris, Debbie, along with Kevin and 3-year-old Connor have only 30 minutes to make their Delta flight to Atlanta.
It's been kind of wild.
Hectic?
Yes, absolutely.
We've already run into the back of a car.
Maybe, just maybe, the day will get a little better. You get nervous?
Yeah, 11:40. We got a long way to go.
What time's your flight?
11:40.
Oh.
Yeah.
It is
We got a whole
11.
half hour.
20.
With 2 car seats, 1 sippy cup, and 2 kids, the Swains head for check-in. What's worse, flying or driving?
I think driving.
We'll soon see. It's now 10 minutes and counting until their flight leaves.
Connor. All right, there you go. Kevin, over here.
It's one more quick elevator trip.
You want to just go out to the curb? It's right there.
Yeah, let's do that.
But then Chris remembers something.
I've got to run to get my wallet.
This
is great.
Here, let me give you your
Yes,
ticket.
we did.
Wait. Come here. I'll give you your ticket. And then we'll meet you on the plane.
Good. Okay.
As Chris goes back to the car and Debbie checks in, the day gets a little worse.
Oh my God. Do I have his keys? It's getting better. He put his keys somewhere. And I have his phone too.
With Kevin and Connor hovering nearby, the bombshell is finally dropped.
We missed our flight.
Which means it's back to square one.
Let's go.
At the inside ticket counter this time.
So we need to get on the next one. My husband has his ticket with him.
After 10 minutes, Chris still isn't back.
I need to page Chris Swain. Can you just page him and tell him to come to the Delta ticket desk?
Back at the ticket desk inside, Debbie gets the family on a standby 1 o'clock flight. But husband Chris is still MIA somewhere in TIA.
No, that's okay. If he didn't pick the page up, we'll try and find him. Thanks.
At this point,
I'm going to Alabama.
Debbie and the kids just head for the gate.
No.
Hopefully, they'll find Chris for that 1 o'clock flight.
Yeah, very stressful. There's little chest pain. I'm okay.
That was Bill McGinty reporting. A follow-up here. The Swains did finally find Dad. He was waiting for them at the gate, and he did have the car keys in his pocket. He was able to get the wallet he forgot. The Swains made it to Atlanta without any other problems. Do you remember traveling with kids?
Yes.
It's not easy. First of all, give yourself 2 hours at the airport. That's what they tell you.
It's kind of like Murphy's Law was in effect there.
Oh, yeah.
Everything that could go wrong did.
Looking for a man they say broke into a Tampa home and tried to attack 2 women with a crowbar. 2 women say the man broke into their home early this morning, but instead of becoming a victim, they made him a victim. The 2 women took away that crowbar and then fought back. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty has their courageous story.
Seminole Heights is a neighborhood with a lot of character and beauty, but lately it's been attracting an unwanted element of violent crime.
And I thought it was a shotgun because I only glanced, and I'm thinking, oh no, this is not happening to me.
Oh please, this is not real. There is not some guy standing down at the end of my bed demanding money from me.
Listen close as Ginny, a former security officer, and Bunny describe to you how they refused to become attack victims during a home invasion.
I got out of my bed, butt naked, and went up to this man and offered to take him to where my wallet and checkbook was at.
So the dialogue started talking. He says, I want $20 for crack. I want my crack and I want to get money.
You're playing me. You know, you're playing me, you're lying to me, you're playing me. At this point in time, because I'm standing pretty much toe-to-toe with this guy, I realized that he's got a good-sized crowbar. And he tried to swing at me, but it got tangled up in the light strings from the fan and the overhead light.
You know, we threaten, somebody threatens one of us, you know, one or the other, and, you know, all of a sudden we both see red. And she goes for the sword that's on the side of the bed, down by the chair.
He asked me what I had, and I turned around and told him, this is what I got.
And he's getting ready to...
He's getting ready to swing on me, and I charge him with this.
And I grab the tire iron right out of his hand, and then all of a sudden, he's the victim. He's turning around.
He's trying to get out of here because we're not 2 little helpless nothing people.
Together, the victims turn the tables on the now unarmed man.
I'm chasing him with the iron, and I'm stark naked too, by the way, which I forgot to mention. And he's, you know, and if I hadn't been stark naked, I would have literally chased him down the block.
That suspect, possibly wounded and definitely scared, ran off into the night. So do these ladies think he'll be back?
Not bloody likely.
Reporting in Seminole Heights,
I am not going to be a victim.
I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
Boy, did he pick the wrong house. Tampa police ask people to make sure that their windows and doors are locked at night. Police also recommend leaving plenty of lights on outside at night. And if you know anything about these home invasions, Tampa police say please give them a call at the robbery squad and they will track this individual down.
Tonight's 10 News Extra, reporter Bill McGinty and photojournalist Joe Bamford take you to the emotional homecoming at Fort Stewart, Georgia.
Oh, it's so hot.
Under a screaming hot Georgia sun.
It's a hot and sweaty day, but it's worth it. It's a good day.
An American homecoming is about to happen for the Harper family.
Look at him get Siri already. I'm just thrilled he's home.
It's special because Mary and Ron Harper had 3 sons, 1 daughter, and a son-in-law, all fighting in Iraq.
It's been a long 6-7 months.
Bobby, who's just 19, is Mary's baby, and in a few minutes she'll be able to give him that long overdue hug.
Yes, it is. I may not let go of it. They have to pry me loose so he can hug his grandma and his dad.
As the band strikes up, the 141 Field Artillery comes into view beyond those trees. But it's still going to be a few more minutes.
Gosh, they're taking so long.
The signs are ready, the music patriotic. The anticipation is peaking.
Oh, come on already.
Out on the field, the battle-weary troops are also ready and waiting.
Ronnie, hold up his banner so he can see where we're at.
Then at 10:35 a.m.,
You see him?
7 months of anxious, emotional waiting
He's there somewhere.
finally ends.
He's there somewhere. Well, there he is.
There he is. Give it to me. I love you. We missed you.
Reporting at Fort Stewart, Georgia,
Give your grandma a hug.
I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
Couple of tears there. Bobby's the Harper's 3rd child to come home now. They still have a son, though, and a son-in-law fighting in Iraq.
There.
He does have a safe place to stay tonight, though, we should let you know. You know, when Hurricane Francis plowed through the Bay Area, high tide and storm surge created a mess in neighborhoods like Shore Acres.
And tonight, people there were ready for Ivan and round 2. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty takes a look at what Ivan left in Shore Acres.
It's not an ideal way to get home, but today it was the only way. Ironically, some of the people who live here in Shore Acres are happy it only got this bad.
So this is, I don't want to say much better, but it is.
This is better. This is better. I will tell you when I get back and look at my pool, but this is much better.
Today's tidal surge began at noon as storm drains backed up with salt water from Tampa Bay. We watched as it flooded streets inch by inch. Then by 3:15's high tide, it was a real mess.
The floodwaters here in Shore Acres are bad enough, but what makes matters worse are the people that come driving through here, 25 to 30 miles an hour, creating large wakes. It got so bad that Rob Shepard took these city barricades and blocked off his own street to keep water from coming into his house again.
I had a truck go by here about 30 miles an hour, and I was sitting in my doorway and actually got splashed in my doorway, which is 2.5, 3 feet away from the water.
So at City Hall's request, police blocked off the roads into Shore Acres for that reason and others.
It took probably a good 5 hours for the water to subside.
And what people don't realize is this is salt water. This is not rainwater.
No, it's really bad for your car. It's really bad for your house.
It's not hard to see why the last flood here a week ago is still so fresh in everyone's mind, and why people have just about given up on storm season 2004. Today's good news from Shore Acres, if there is any, is that most of the flooding began to recede by 7 o'clock, leaving behind a lot less damage than before. Reporting in Shore Acres, I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
Now, Bill says the line of cars to get back into Shore Acres was almost 1 mile long. Many people complained to police that they should have been allowed to get back to their homes.
Most parents would agree that the worst thing that can happen to them is the loss of a child.
Well, this weekend, one Bay Area family will be working through their grief of losing a son by trying to put smiles on the faces of children who don't have very much to smile about. Here's 10 News reporter Bill McGinty and photojournalist Casey Cumley with the legacy of Cameron Cox.
We have a lovely office, and when you come in our office to visit, sign in for your children, the whole counter is filled with stuffed animals.
To understand why these stuffed animals are here, you first have to hear the story of 12-year-old Cameron Cox.
My life has changed because of Cameron, and it never be the same. It changed for the better, of course. I learned through Cameron that life is too short and too precious to complain about the little things.
Cameron's mop of blonde hair and his infectious personality was easy to fall in love with. He was, quite simply, a happy-go-lucky little boy.
Oh, when he was young, oh, he was in trouble. Oh, he was the most active, energetic of my 3 children. I could not sit that child down. He had stitches, bumps, bruises, broken bones, 2 broken arms by the time he was in 1st grade. He scared me. He scared me.
But little did the family know, the real scare would come after Cameron turned 8.
Cameron was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia, which is ALL, back in October of 2001. It's been such a difficult journey to watch my son go through what he did and to suffer like he did. But he was so very brave.
Cameron Cox fought his leukemia for 3 years and 8 months, through one relapse, then another.
I think probably his greatest last wish was to be able to come home to his family and spend time with his dog, his animals, you know, all his friends, and have some precious time at home.
Along with family, his faithful teacher and tutor, Mrs. Conley, helped Cameron through his fight.
She was there from day one, and she was there all the way through. She was there with us the day that Cameron died.
Cameron's inside here, and he always will be. He wasn't my son, but to me, he is part of me, and I miss him too. Christmas will be tough.
Cameron loved her. She loved him. It was a very, very precious relationship.
And it's that love and dedication between teacher and student that brings us back to why all the teddy bears are up in the front office at Cameron's school.
What kid or what adult doesn't like a stuffed animal when they're feeling bad?
So in Cameron's memory, these teddy bears will be delivered to Cameron's friends in the cancer wing at All Children's.
It'll make us all feel better that we've brightened up the life of a little boy or girl that's having a tough time now.
This really is going to help make this season a little bit brighter because we are celebrating our first Christmas without our Cameron. I'm very, very blessed that that God gave me the opportunity to be his mother. You know, I am very, very blessed.
Cameron's mom told us that she's also going to donate some of Cameron's favorite snack foods, to the kids who are still fighting their illnesses. Now, if you would like to donate to All Children's, you can leave a new unwrapped toy in the lobby of the hospital in St. Petersburg. We'll be right back.
And some good deals and also some strange stuff when you read the classifieds.
But you might get a real kick out of this one. It comes from the St. Petersburg Times. Okay, it's an ad. It reads, prosthesis, left leg custom fitted, below the knee with a Reebok tennis shoe attached. Found on Shell Key, Sunday morning, June 1st. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty just had to check this one out.
Out on the Mary Pier in Passagrill,
It's baffling, for sure.
a mystery is underfoot.
It's creepy.
I think it was left or lost by somebody on the island.
Find stuff all the time, like boat parts, car parts, tires, stuff like that.
But what somebody found in the sand on Sunday morning has everybody talking.
We find a lot of strange things out here, but never legs.
That's right, a leg, a left leg.
How could you accidentally leave your leg?
A very good question.
It is a bizarre find. It's sort of sad, actually. I don't know how anybody could lose a leg and get away. How could you get away if you didn't have another leg?
Almost everybody on the Shell Key shuttle has a theory about the prosthetic leg that a college student found.
That's why I think it came off a boat, because if it fell off a boat, you wouldn't be able to retrieve it right away, and then it could wash up on shore.
There's no sign, no seaweed, no sign of it being in the water at all.
If you lost your leg on land, how could you walk away and forget it?
All we know is that somebody left their left, but who?
but it's possible that it could be a female leg.
Or no, I think it's a man's leg, because the ankle seems really big.
Sort of big. Could be a woman. Could be a woman wrestler or wood chopper.
That is rude.
Nice sneaker, and has Reebok here. Nicely tied, as you can see, a nice little bow.
Well, most women wouldn't want a big fat ankle. I don't think. I wouldn't.
Today, it's a good story for everybody to kick around in the sand of Shell Key as they politely ask.
Does anybody recognize this leg?
Reporting in Pass-A-Grille.
Please come to claim it if it's yours. We're here, right here on the Shell Key shuttle, right off of Pass-A-Grille. Can't miss us.
I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
Woman wrestler.
Bill did some research and found that a good custom-made prosthesis can cost about $5,000.
Wow.
If you buy one off the shelf, a leg can
Run about $1,500.
Does it really say that a leg can run about $1,500 to $3,000? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing
So
about
if you
that.
know anyone missing a limb, a woman wrestler or lumberjack,
That's rude.
Have them call the Shell Key shuttle on the east side of Pass-A-Grille. They will keep it until someone comes and claims it. And I will tell you this, I looked at the shoe, it looks like a female Reebok.
Doing some detective work here.
How can you tell? What about the shoe?
You're watching Tampa Bay's 10 News on WTSP.
All right, so how often do you buy something only to find out that you've been shorted, even just a little? Are we really getting what we pay for? In tonight's 10 News Extra, we sent reporter Bill McGinty shopping for some random products, and you might be surprised at what he found out.
Have you ever wondered if your quarter really buys you 12 minutes? And is your 1 pound bag of Tostitos really a pound? And what about the advertisement promising 400 much-needed squares?
18, 19, 20.
In this story, we're going to see if you're really getting what you pay for. So using a brand new stopwatch, we timed 4 parking meters in downtown Tampa. Meters some people say are
very overpriced.
Using a $1.50, we timed meter number 415 on Tampa Street for 1 hour. We also measured a roll of duct tape that advertises 60 yards on the package. So out on this football field in Clearwater, we took it yard by yard to see if 60 yards is really 60 yards.
And the total is 56 yards, 4 yards short.
That's 12 feet for you mathematicians out there. Back in Tampa, we're still waiting on meter number 415.
82, 83, 84.
And while we waited, we turned our attention to the other products. Things like 400 squares of rippled cottonelle. And the extra laundry detergent that reads 1 gallon. Moments later, we learned it really is 1 gallon. And our 1 pound, 4 ounce bag of Tostitos stacked up to its promise. As a matter of fact, so did all the other chips we weighed.
340, 341, 342.
But what about that nice, soft, cottony cottonelle? Are there really 400 sheets, as they say? The answer is no.
394 usable squares.
So far, we found toilet paper that's 6 short, but in a 12-pack, that's 72 sheets you won't have when you most need them. But is something like toilet paper and duct tape really worth complaining about? Kevin Jackson is a consumer investigator.
Yeah, sure it is. There's no question about it, unless it's just an isolated situation. But if it's, repetitive, especially, the consumer should certainly let somebody know.
Another common gripe is over the gas pump. So using a complaint from the State Attorney General's office, we tested a gallon of gas from the Chevron in Port Richey, the same place somebody said they were shorted. They may have been shorted, but we weren't. The gallon we paid for was the gallon we got. Back in Tampa, our time is up, and the hour we paid for was actually 62 minutes. 2 minutes in our favor. So the next time you're out looking for a good deal, park at meter number 415 on Tampa Street. It's the second one on the left, just south of Madison. Reporting in Tampa, I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
And you're going to love this. Bill actually checked with a toilet paper company. He was told that toilet paper is rolled in mass production by machines, and sometimes those machines can short you a few squares. Well, a company representative told Bill they welcome calls like his, and they're going to pass the word on to quality control. Here's the best part. They offered to compensate Bill for being shorted 6 squares of toilet paper by sending him a free roll. So you see, it does pay to speak up. If you have questions or consumer complaints, we do have a link to the Public Service Commission on our website. Just log on to TampaBase10.com, click on links from newscast on the left side of the homepage.
Thanks, Fletch. Well, we all know that sometimes life doesn't turn out the way that we hope it does. There are often unexpected curves and tough times.
But how we handle the tough times often helps shape our character and makes us into the kind of people we want to be. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty has a story of a young boy who used his imagination, his creativity, and his passion for life to help ease the tough times others may one day face. This is the story of Dylan Crane.
Produce the video because I want to be a producer when I grow up.
From the time Dylan Crane was a little boy, he was just different.
He's always known it somewhat inside that he's here for a reason. And we've got video of him, I think he was about 5 years old, pretending he's a news reporter.
Dylan often told his mother Carol that when he grew up, he was going to change the world.
When he was 7, there was some hurricane in Guatemala or something, and he made me take money out of his savings account and send money to Guatemala to help the kids who had been devastated by a hurricane. I mean, he's just always been this very globally, big picture kind of kid.
But how would a small boy change the world?
Today is September 27th, 2004, and I am 12 years old. It's not looking too good. It's not infection, they don't believe. They think it's either Ewing sarcoma or lymphoma. That's why I'm here. But I'm gonna get through it.
Dylan's mom and dad broke the news to him.
The doctors have read the scans and they believe what you have is a type of bone cancer.
But Dylan being Dylan sees cancer as an opportunity, his opportunity to change the world.
Hello, my name is Dylan Crane. I am making this documentary to chronicle my struggles with and survival of cancer.
I think he just wants to tell a story. You know, he's the ultimate storyteller, and, you know, he just wants to tell a story. He wants people to know what's going on.
Dylan begins chemo immediately, his home video camera now with him wherever he goes.
In this documentary, I hope to show you a new world. A world where you don't go to school. You can't. A world where you're in the hospital 3 weeks out of every month. I hope that you see the miracle unfolding. My cancer miracle.
This is crazy!
Among the many people praying for Dylan's miracle are his friends and teachers at Johns Hopkins Middle School.
It takes a village to raise a child. Well, I think it takes a village to bring on a miracle. And I think that's what we've done. My cancer miracle.
But if you're already impressed with Dylan documenting his cancer, wait until you hear why he's doing it and for whom.
My main message is that it's not impossible. It can be done. And I want some of the mystery to be taken out of it.
And he still has this ideal of making a movie someday, a big movie, a major motion picture that teaches the world something about what kids go through when they have cancer.
Hello, I'm in short stay unit and we're waiting to go into surgery. And they're just gonna get me all ready for surgery.
February 18th is a big day for Dylan and the documentary. His camera, his documentary are his diversion today.
It's important that for me that he has something that keeps him going every day, that keeps him distracted away from what's really there.
Dylan, the consummate director and producer, improvises this shot he calls stretcher cam.
I think it gives him something to work for. I think it makes him look at the future and not dwell too much on today.
And we're going to remove that tumor in your leg. We'll replace it with an artificial knee.
Moments before Dylan goes into surgery, this brave little filmmaker reminds us all in his own way that he's still just 12.
Proud of you, Dylan. Doing great.
Okay, man. This is it. I gotta take that camera.
whatever you need, but I think it makes the
I just came out of surgery.
Dylan's first words after surgery are to his camera. His instructions to his mom and dad are to shoot everything, no matter what. Even if that what is intensive care.
So it was a little dramatic, actually, but Simon kept the camera rolling and went through the double doors, you know, all the hallways and double doors, and then straight up to Dylan, and Dylan talked to the camera right away.
I'm so happy it's out of me now.
He's gotten out of surgery. He's in intensive care because he really needs some blood.
But within 12 hours, Dylan is back on camera.
Good morning. It's the morning after my surgery. And here's my leg.
Can I have a chair at the end of the hall?
Within a few days of getting his bionic leg, as he called it, Dylan is up and walking.
Run, Forrest. Run.
His sense of humor still well intact.
We do get scrutinized for what we take. So he's a good director.
And that director is anxious to get to work on part 2 of his documentary.
It'll kind of teach other kids about what the procedure is. And then stem cell transplant, you say that, and stem cell harvest, and they're like, whew, what is that? So really it kind of explains everything that you go through.
In late February, Dylan leaves the hospital. He's now going to be able to edit some of his documentary at home.
Hello, I'm going multiple takes. Femur replaced.
Word of Dylan's documentary captivates everybody. Even one of Dylan's doctors wants a copy to give other patients.
There's only so much that we can do by talking and giving pictures, but for having a kid like Dylan describe it with the details and through a video, it was just incredible.
Dylan's work on My Cancer Miracle earns him first place in the district's Media Education Awards on April 7th. Dylan, wheelchair-bound, appeared to accept. He savors the moment, but has to leave to avoid germs. On this night, Dylan Crane is well on his way to becoming what he aspires to be, a movie director. Then came April 10th.
So that was really nothing new, going in for a fever. We did that with every round of chemo, so that we really weren't that frightened.
On this night at All Children's Hospital, the camera stopped rolling. Dylan asked his mom and dad to take still pictures.
And he said, take digital stills. He said, I want to see what this looks like, because he was yellow.
Dylan's last chemo treatment caused something called veno-occlusive disease, which began to shut down his liver. Over the next 7 weeks, Dylan's camera did not roll. Dylan was fighting for his life. It was time for a miracle.
That day just slowly got worse and worse. And he didn't really suffer. They gave him enough medication to keep him asleep and snowed. And Lynn and I were both there. And we were with him when he passed away.
We had to let him know that it was okay for him to go. And we did, and we talked to him, and I bathed him, and bathed him in lavender, and just made him feel loved, and we watched him as he went.
On Wednesday, June 8th at 4:35 in the afternoon, Dylan Crane passed away. But soon everybody would come to realize the miracle that they hoped for and prayed for the whole time was right there in front of them. The miracle was, and is, Dylan and his documentary.
He's a beautiful child. Dylan's documentary won many awards this summer, including statewide competition. His documentary, again called My Cancer Miracle, can be seen in its entirety on the web. You can find the link on TampaBase10.com. We'll be right back.
Covering Tampa Bay, this is the weekend edition of 10 News at 6.
It pitted an entire neighborhood against the owner of a lake. Tonight, the controversial pink fence that blocked a lakeside view finally comes crashing down. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Howe. Thanks for joining us tonight. Neighbors in that Palm Harbor community are calling it a victory tonight. After weeks of living with a bright pink fence at the end of their yards, tonight it's gone. 2 weeks ago, we told you how Don Connolly bought a lake in the Tarpon Woods subdivision for back taxes. Then he built a pink fence behind the neighbors' homes. Connolly offered to remove that fence, but only if each homeowner paid him $30,000. They refused. But as 10 News reporter Bill McGinty tells us, today Connolly had a change of heart.
Oh my gosh, look at it. It's fabulous. Look at, our piece of heaven is back.
Oh, our lake. I can see my lake. This is wonderful.
The early morning pounding turned out to be as soothing as the sun on this lake, especially if it means you're finally getting your lake view back.
I think we'll all treasure it a little bit more than we even did before.
After 3 weeks of fighting with land speculator Don Connolly over this pink fence, the people of Tarpon Woods are finally relieved.
4 or 5 days ago, to cross this fence line was absolutely unthinkable. And while the fence may be down this weekend, the issue as a whole is still unresolved. You see, Don Connolly still legally owns this side of the fence and that lake. 2 options remain for the neighborhood. Either they can buy it from Don Connolly, or Pinellas County may step in and take it under eminent domain.
Connolly had wanted $30,000 per house to return the view and sell the land. He told me taking down the pink fence and giving them back their view was his first step towards good faith negotiations. So at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, 3 weeks after it all began, Alice and Mike Beener slowly got their precious lake view back.
Look at that. Oh my gosh.
It's not the end, but it just might be the beginning of the end of this odd story.
Oh, I'm going to put that in my rose garden to a reminder of, look at it, even has the sparkles on it.
Reporting in Tarpon Woods, I'm Bill McGinty, 10 News.
Again, although the fence is down, the issue remains unresolved. The neighbors could settle financially with Connolly, or Pinellas County may reclaim the lake and that land.
All right, thanks a lot, Sherry. You know, last February, I looked into what some call abuses in the Section 8 program. That story prompted an investigation. Section 8 is a government-funded program. Taxpayers pay for it. It's a program for people who can't afford to rent or buy a home. In this morning's 10 News Extra, we're asking how and why the Tampa Housing Authority didn't know about a scam that cost you, the taxpayers, more than $8,000.
In our first story, we showed you people living on government assistance who were somehow able to afford satellite television. We also highlighted a Section 8 home valued at over $400,000 in upscale Westchase. It's a beautiful lakefront home surrounded by tall cypress, and the Section 8 tenant who lives here does so for free.
The woman who lives in this house is a woman by the name of Gloria Timmons. She's a single mother, she doesn't work, and she's not disabled, yet she was receiving 100% government assistance. Well, after seeing our initial report back in February, the Office of Inspector General launched an investigation, and they determined that Miss Timmons was receiving income and not reporting it to the Housing Authority. In essence, they say, she was committing fraud.
The Tampa Housing Authority runs this program. Clarence Brown oversees Section 8.
I don't want to get into any of the particulars, but there was unreported income that was verified.
So there was income coming into the house by some means, whether...
Yes.
After a 2-month investigation following our initial report, Miss Timmons was terminated from the Section 8 program, meaning her free handout ended.
How'd this one get by you then?
It did not get by us, surprisingly enough.
Well, I brought it to your attention.
Well, so you believe. But Ms. Timmons actually was scheduled for her annual re-exam at the time you presented the information.
So you knew about this?
So she was going through the process.
So you knew about this even before we brought it to your attention?
She was going through the process when you brought it to our attention, absolutely.
Hold on. Wait just 1 minute. That's not what Mr. Brown told me last February when we first talked about the Section 8 house in Westchase.
And if we knock on that door, and there's an individual there that's violating the program, not doing what you're supposed to do, and the kids are just haywire and nobody's doing anything, then I think that would be a problem. You know, but I don't know that that's the case. Nothing's come before me up to this point saying that the family we have out there is nothing more than a good neighbor.
And that good neighbor still lives in Westchase today without any of her Section 8 government assistance. We know that because we went by the house to ask her if she defrauded the taxpayers.
Is that not true?
I don't have anything to say to you. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. This looks bad.
Is that a question?
Would you say it looks bad?
Absolutely.
By now, you're probably thinking that Miss Timmons is banned from the program for committing fraud. But the reality is, she can come back for another handout.
In 5 years, she could reapply based on the current policy and the current regulations.
Those rules and regulations that Mr. Brown talked about are set by Congress. So we asked for input from Tampa Congressman Jim Davis. Watch the look on his face when we first tell him about the West Chase Section 8 house.
Failure to mind the store. And the first thing that happens when you uncover this is everybody points fingers instead of getting to the bottom of it. And she's doing it. You can be certain others are too.
But Mr. Brown says Tampa housing is tough on the 1% who break the rules and steal from taxpayers.
Do you believe that you're the first person to report something to us? You know, you may want to believe that, but we've been in this business for quite a while, and we've been terminating families for quite a while.
As for the Timmons case, she owes the Tampa Housing Authority the $8,041 she ripped off. The case has now been referred to HUD for criminal prosecution.
And Congressman Jim Davis also told me that he supports the idea of prosecuting people who scam the system. That way, he says, the government can get back some of the money to help other families who really do need the financial help. In 2005, the Tampa Housing Authority terminated 29 people from the program for fraud out of a total of 4,500 that are currently receiving aid.
Well, technology and experience are the weather forecaster's best friends.
And I would imagine this is especially true during hurricane season.
You're absolutely right, it is. And tonight in a 10 News Extra, reporter Bill McGinty takes a look at a storm that changed the way we get our information to bring you a reliable storm forecast.
The storm of the century back in 1993 hit Tampa Bay hard.
We saw the line of thunderstorms and the squall line on radar. We saw it on satellite picture. All of that moved across the area. What we didn't know was behind it, there was going to be a large storm surge that was going to cause huge problems along the coast.
There were evacuations.
Come on, Gary.
All to avoid a storm surge of 12 to 16 feet, a storm surge that drowned 7 people in Taylor County.
We had no clue the water was going to be anywhere near as high as it was because there was nothing out there to tell us that.
Right here.
And that brings us to this repair mission, 28 miles out in the Gulf of Mexico, due west of Pasco County.
It's hot, huh?
The heat and pitching 1 to 2 foot swells make the work out here on this offshore weather buoy a little tough.
Probably need the bag.
This weather station, one of 4 floaters out in the Gulf, is part of what's called the Coastal Ocean Monitoring and Prediction System, or COMPS for short.
By any chance hold that up?
It came to be after weather forecasters got blindsided by the storm of the century.
We didn't know before. We were sort of like in the dark. And now it's like, okay, someone's opened our eyes because these instruments out there, and we can measure what's happening before it reaches us.
You know the currents, you know which way the wind's going, you know how fast it's going, you know how fast it's going over a known period of time. So you get the average wind speed and then you get the maximum wind speed.
All of that information is then transmitted by satellite from this hostile saltwater environment to anybody who wants to log onto a computer and use it.
It's important for commercial fishermen, recreational fishermen.
Prior to these weather stations being set up, it was like a complete data void or very close to a complete data void over the water.
Just wrap one, tie wrap.
With 4 of these out on the water between Pasco and Sarasota counties and 2 more being built, perhaps we'll be able to minimize the storm of the 21st century. Reporting out in the Gulf of Mexico, I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
One of our Bay Area counties is really raising the bar in its ability to patrol and protect us from terrorist threats.
The Pasco County SWAT team is doing something no other Bay Area department has done. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty and photojournalist Tim Kenya went into the deep to bring you tonight's 10 News Extra.
This Pasco County SWAT training mission is unlike any before it. It'll take 21 men
14 miles from here
out into the Gulf of Mexico.
We're going into about 35 feet of water for the certification process.
Which is something SWAT has been training for over the last 4 to 5 weeks.
Looking forward to it. Each person needs to stay with their buddy the whole time. Here. Your buddy, check. That feel better.
By the end of the day, the Pasco County SWAT team will become one of Florida's only teams to have all of its members scuba certified.
Since we have a lot of stilt houses along the coastline of Pasco, and you got to figure that there's only going to be one way to get out there. It's either by boat and you can't ride right up to a house if you're trying to do a search warrant or something like that. So you're going to have to enter the water and come in so that they don't hear you coming.
All right, is everybody about ready?
With 1, 2, and 3 splashes, they're in.
So the first thing we're going to be doing is checking buoyancy, then switching off, clearing the regulator, clearing the mask.
These SWAT team guys are used to busting through doors, not descending into the murky depths of the Gulf of Mexico. They'll spend 35 minutes on the bottom with a visibility of roughly 6 to 9 feet, but that is just the beginning.
So we're going to get you in the water. All right, we're going to have you do a 25-yard tire diver tow. We have to be able to depend on the other team member to pull us to safety. And in this case, just like we do if we're going through a doorway on a barricaded subject, in this case, it's in the water.
So after 2 dives and almost an hour on the bottom, how'd they do?
It's fairly easy once you get acclimated to breathing underwater.
They did excellent. I'm really proud of them.
With more than 5 miles of coastline and 45 miles of canals and channels in Pasco County as potential targets, it's important for the whole department to be ready.
Threats there for anything and everything.
Reporting from the Gulf of Mexico with the Pasco County SWAT team and dive team, I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
The Pasco team was able to get certified with the help of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission.
How'd you like that dive boat they
you
were
know,
on?
I love that
You know where
stuff.
they got that?
Where?
Confiscated it from poachers out in the Gulf.
Really?
Is that good use of confiscated material or what?
Forfeited material.
Chief Meteorologist Dick Fletcher with the weather. It's a good day to be out there.
Well,
no?
It's a good day to be paying attention. You know, lightning and water don't
mix.
No, you don't want to be in the water when lightning strikes. And there are thunderstorms moving on shore across